This happened in November 2024 when I was in the first year of my diploma and living in a hostel. For privacy reasons, I'll keep everyone's names anonymous. I'm not posting this to prove ghosts are real or to convince anyone of anything. Even after almost a year, I still don't know what happened, and honestly, I'm still looking for answers. It all started around 3:45 a.m. My roommate, let's call him X, called me from our hostel's old washroom. His voice is shaking. He just said, "Bro, come to the old washroom right now." I immediately got up and ran there. The corridor was unusually silent. When I reached, the first thing he asked me was, "You were outside, right?" I said yes. The moment he stepped out, he looked terrified. Not scared, terrified. He looked at me and said one word, "Run." We ran back to our room, locked the door, played Hanuman Chalisa, and somehow made it through the rest of the night. The next morning, X was so frightened that he called his family and left for home. After the vacation, he came back wearing a protective amulet and told me he had visited a spiritual healer. Honestly, I laughed it off. I thought whatever happened that night was over. A few months later, X and I got into a small argument, and I changed rooms. Around that time, I became very close to another friend. Let's call him B. I spent most of my time in his room anyway, and eventually shifted there. Everything felt normal again. No strange incidents, nothing. Then, around the beginning of my second semester, I went home for a festival. Before returning, I changed my sacred thread, which Brahmins traditionally wear across the body as part of their religious customs. I had eaten non-vegetarian food and hadn't changed it in a long time, so I replaced it before returning to the hostel. When I came back, I don't know why, but I suddenly convinced B to move with me to room number 17. He really didn't want to, but somehow I managed to convince him, and looking back, sometimes I wonder if that decision changed everything. Room number 17 had a window facing an empty field. Nearby was a government hospital. I always slept with the window open because I like fresh air. Then one night around 1 a.m., I woke up, or at least I thought I woke up. I could see my room, I could see B sleeping, but I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even lift a finger. Then I saw the room door slowly opening, and I saw what looked like a woman wearing a white sari entering the room. She slowly walked toward my bed, climbed up from near my feet, and sat on my chest. I felt pressure. My breathing became heavy. I wanted to scream. I wanted to wake B up, but nothing came out. I could only watch. Eventually, I snapped out of it. Terrified, I moved closer to B and somehow fell asleep. But it wasn't just one night. The same thing happened again and again for the next 2 days. Then something inside me started changing. I became angry for no reason, irritated all the time, emotionally unstable. One day after a small argument with B, I suddenly felt completely alone. I spent hours crying on the hostel terrace. I would go downstairs and go back up and cry again. I made sure nobody saw me. And then for the first time in my life, thoughts entered my mind that genuinely scared me. I even searched about it. I tried calling friends. Nobody answered. Around 1:35 a.m., I finally called home while crying. After that, things became blurry. According to everyone around me, I became completely uncontrollable. Around 20 to 25 people were trying to calm me down and hold me. Even the principal arrived. People started putting religious lockets and pendants around my neck. Meanwhile, my family was traveling almost 200 kilometers to get me. The next morning, they took me to a Muslim spiritual healer. At first, everything felt normal. Then, during the ritual, he blew prayers over me. And I still remember this part. I felt like something rushed through my body, like electricity. Not pain, not fear, something else. According to my parents, I wasn't acting like myself. Eventually, I was given an amulet. And after that day, everything slowly stopped. It's been almost a year now. I've left that hostel completely and moved to another hostel beside a highway. And since then, nothing like that has ever happened again. Some people from my hostel knew the story. Some believe me, some don't, and honestly, I understand. If someone had told me the story a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have believed it either. Maybe it was sleep paralysis, maybe stress, maybe a mental breakdown, maybe something science can explain. I honestly don't know. But one thing I do know is this: the fear was real, the emotions were real, the sleepless nights were real, and whatever happened changed me. Some of my friends still don't believe me, and that's okay, because if I had only heard the story from someone else, I might not have believed it either. But I lived through it. I felt it. And some experiences are impossible to explain to people who haven't gone through them themselves. Even now, I never sleep beside an open window anymore. I never went back to that old washroom alone. Maybe that's fear. Maybe trauma. But even today, whenever I randomly wake up between 3 and 4 in the morning, room number 17 comes back to my mind. The silence, the ceiling fan, looking over and seeing B sleeping peacefully, checking if the door was locked, making sure the window was closed, and sometimes I still ask myself one question. If I'd never convinced B to move into room number 17, would any of this have happened? And the strangest thing of all, why did everything stop? Why did everything stop only after I left that hostel? I still don't know, and maybe I never will. If you have a scientific, psychological, or spiritual explanation, I genuinely love to hear it. Because after almost a year, I'm still searching for an answer.